Hey, welcome to the Trash Picture Show. Yesterday I was discussing a movie called The Exterminator, and the term Grindhouse came up a lot. Now, I think if you're familiar with the kind of movies I'm doing, you know what Grindhouse is. If you are kind of new to kind of cult movies, you may not know what Grindhouse is. Grindhouse was a type of cinema in the 70s and 80s that showed movies that weren't, they're not Gone with the Wind. They weren't big budget movies. They were cheap movies. They were gritty movies. They were fairly sleazy, grotty kind of movies. They were usually shown back to back. You'd get kind of different features of, like, you get a karate movie or a heist movie or a horror movie or some really bad action movie. Um, these movies usually were made in the cheap, they were made in the sly. Um, Back in the 70s and 80s, if you had a camera and you had the balls, you could go off and make some pretty fucking crazy shit, and there would be somewhere to distribute it. And they usually ended up in these kind of grindhouse movie theaters. Notable ones would have been in New York, in the Bronx, and in places like that. That they would have had a couple of these theaters. Um, Movies which would have been considered grindhouse movies back then, but are kind of cult ones today. Well, obviously there's The Exterminator, there's Shaft, there's Foxy Brown. There would have been like kung fu movies. Maybe some of Bruce Lee's earlier stuff would have been a grindhouse flick. Like, the cool thing is that movies like Lone Wolf and Cub, they would have been shown back to back. The downside to it is sometimes those movies ended up getting attached to trash, basically to stuff, porn and skin flicks and stuff like that. They would have been shown back to back with some really grotty kind of stuff. To my knowledge, there really isn't any grindhouse kind of theaters left. Which is sad, because I think it would be cool to, like, go to a cinema that kind of shows really kind of weird, off the wall cult movies back to back. Some parts of the Midwest in America still do them on the odd occasion, but it's definitely a dead format. Like, with the advent of the internet and Netflix, a lot of these kind of lower brow kind of movies have reached cult status, and you can find them online. The grindhouse kind of cinema has had an impact on modern movie making. For example, The Exterminator. A thing I forgot to mention was the scene where John Easterlin's captured and rescued by his friend Jefferson. There's a decapitation with a machete. That effect was done by Stan Winston. That was one of his first effects. James Glickenhaus contacted him and went, "Look, can you do this for me?" And there's like this horrible head slice. Roger Corman, he done kind of grindhousey movies. Planet Terror, or Forbidden Planet. I'm not 100% sure, but one of the set designers on that was Jim Cameron. Yeah, Jim Cameron got a start doing Roger Corman movies. He used to design sets, so it's kind of ironic that the guy who was designing sets for an Aliens knockoff movie ended up doing the sequel. So, by and large, like, while grindhouse movies weren't the most sophisticated in the world, they did leave their impact, and they were kind of a springboard for more legitimate creators' careers. Um, I think that it would be cool if a format like that resurfaced, but I don't see it happening in this side of the world. But it's kind of like, it's kind of a nostalgia trip if there was to be these kind of movies released on a more kind of widespread international level. Well, anyway, this has been the Trash Picture Show. My name's Martin. Like and subscribe, and yeah, have a good one.